Star Wars! Okay, now that I have that out of the way. Star Wars! Okay, seriously. The review. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. It's very much like Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, in that it has action at the beginning, a rather tediously slow middle part, and action at the end. But that's not to say it's bad. Far from it. In fact, it takes what Episode 7 built and builds on that. Everyone and everything in it is fairly awesome. But for the most part, Episode 8 focuses on character and world building. The action sequences, while good, sort of take a back seat. Let's start with the cast. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, the guys who played Finn and Poe, all awesome. Daisy really sells this whole conflict between light and dark setup for the Force. You can tell she wants to be a good person, but she lets her emotions get the better of her. So she kind of has less of a handle on the Force than she did in the earlier film. It's still there, but it's more instinctual. Like, if someone's about to hit you, you instinctually put your hands up. She instinctually uses the Force. But usually that causes her to ignite a lightsaber and appear threatening. So it's still up in the air whether or not she turns evil. As for Ren, he tries to act like this soulless, emotionless, imperial machine, but you can tell he's losing his grip. It's hard to explain. He might be going crazy. Just a little bit. Poe and Finn seem to be basically the same character now. They start out as kind of headstrong, determined to the detriment of others, unfortunately. But in the end, they learn, as Ben put it, that there are alternatives. I can't go into too much detail, just watch the movie to see what I mean. Chewie was mainly in a support role for Rey, so he kind of took a backseat. Leia did get injured and spend a lot of the movie unconscious, but when she was awake, you could tell why she commanded everyone's respect. She showed immense strength, but also immense weakness. I'm not saying she was weak, I'm saying she's a veteran of an old war, and she's weary. Honestly, I think that was Carrie Fisher's best performance yet. Rest in peace, Carrie. R2 and 3PO were, once again, there, but more supportive. Less noticed, but they still got their moments. Now for the MVP, BB-8. Honestly, the coolest, best droid in the entire Star Wars universe as of now. I can't go into too much detail, but I will say he definitely took the title from R2-D2 fair and square. You have to see it to believe it. Now for Luke. He was clearly broken. I mean, I look at him, I see a veteran suffering serious PTSD. What happened to him in the events leading up to the new trilogy, they turned him from the farm boy into, I would say, an even more traumatized version of Obi-Wan. He wanted nothing to do with the galaxy as a whole, which is sad. He just could not bring himself to get involved again. Not after what happened with Ren. The sad thing is, he basically made the mistakes of past Jedi. He let fear get the better of him, and it cost him dearly. Having said that, let's look at a few bright spots. The background characters, including Carrie Fisher's daughter. She and the other background characters did really well. They didn't steal the spotlight from the main cast, but they weren't just mannequins in a window. They helped move the story along. They each had a moment to shine, and some of the characters you really felt for and knew some of them weren't going to survive. It really made the not the First Order, those are the bad guys. It made the Resistance feel like a close-knit family trying to survive. Speaking of background characters, Laura Dern's character. She really surprised me. I can't really go into too much detail, but I will say this. She ran the gambit from, is she a bad guy, to, she's definitely a good guy. And back to, is she a bad guy? She kept you guessing and ultimately surprised me. Now for the bad guys. Even though I already spoke about Ren, there are others. Let's start with Supreme Leader Snoke. More like Supreme Leader Disappointment. He felt like the Emperor Reborn in Episode 7. Dark, sinister, intimidating. But here he was kind of cantankerous. Like he'd just gotten out of an old folks' home for some fresh air. And while he did have his moments, he wasn't quite as impressive as he should have been. Also, I'm pretty sure his face wasn't actually scarred. I'm almost positive his head was born that way. That's what it looked like when he finally showed up. Speaking of which, the effects for his visage, they were phenomenal. He did not look like a CG character. He looked like a person wearing makeup. He was that good. If they remaster the Rogue One movie, I really hope they go back and put that kind of detail into Tarkin and young Leia, because that Snoke looked real. As for Hux and Phasma, they were there. And, you ask? And what? They were there, period. Hux was basically a punching bag of Ren, and Phasma had like 5 minutes of screen time. Honestly, they are sorely underused. Hux was funny, but Phasma just does not get the screen time she deserves. Hopefully, they'll both get good end caps to their story at the end of the trilogy, because they really deserve it. As for the rest of the Order, they were true to form. Intimidating, but you felt like they could be defeated even though they handed it to the rebels every single time they met. Seriously, the rebels were always on the defensive this time. And the First Order did not give them an inch. Also, their droids are frighteningly smart. They had this evil BB unit, which I dubbed BB 8-Ball. And not only was he an evil droid, he was smart. So few villains are actually smart. You gotta see him to believe him. Let's see, what else? Oh, the spaceships look amazing. I felt like they'd gone back to true model work again. That's how good the CG was. And every place in that movie, it was perfectly practically done, along with the alien characters. Nothing felt like a set. I watched this movie in 2D, and I was fully immersed. The visuals of the planets, totally real. The action at the beginning and end of the film was pretty good, true to form. Basically, Last Jedi was everything Episode 7 was, but better. Its only real drawback was that agonizingly slow middle. But the middle was definitely necessary for character building and story building. And while it's not perfect, I gave it a 3.5 stars on Rotten Tomatoes, it was fairly satisfying. It does what the middle part of a trilogy should do. It built things up so they can all come to a head for the final installment. The Force is slightly less with Last Jedi, but it's still with it. And that's all I have to say about that. Mr. J signing out. Till next time.